Jesse James in his grave. 'Twas a Saturday.
Jethro and me's awfully worried about Granny.
What's she doing?
Nothing. Just sitting in the kitchen, rocking and staring at the wall.
She won't talk to nobody nor say hi to her.
Yeah, I noticed Granny kind of drooping this morning. I reckon she misses Pearl.
But them two was always scrapping.
I reckon that's what she misses. You know, Granny's a lot like that band of yours, Ellie. She loves to scrap.
That's the truth. Used to pleasure her considerable to throw Aunt Pearl out of her kitchen.
Yeah, Granny don't want no one cooking in there except her.
Jethro, I think you just come up with an idea.
I did? What was it?
Ellie will go out there and act like she's going to fix up a mess of victuals. That'll get Granny's hackles up.
You take care of her for me, Jethro.
Now, Ellie Mae, I know it's against your nature, and I know how much you love your Granny. But for her own sake, I want you to try to be real spiteful. Try to get her riled up.
Do it, Pop.
Hey, Uncle Jed, can I go too? After all, it was my idea. Wasn't it?
Yeah, Jethro. And take that bandy along with you. Ain't nothing riles Granny more than chickens in the kitchen.
Well, I'm gonna cook up a mess of victuals. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get out every pot and pan in this here kitchen, and I'm gonna whop up the doggonedest meal anybody ever tasted.
Hi, Allie. What you fixing on doing?
I'm gonna cook up some victuals.
Granny don't allow nobody to cook victuals in her kitchen.
I don't care what Granny don't allow. I'm gonna cook up some victuals anyhow.
I'll help you.
Here now, what are you youngins up to?
Oh, we's gonna cook us some victuals.
Why, you know Granny don't allow that in her kitchen.
We don't care what Granny don't allow.
We's gonna cook us some victuals anyhow.
Jethro, is that a chicken you're holding?
Yes, sir.
Well, you better get shed of it right away. No, I mean outside. Ain't nothing riles Granny more than chickens in her kitchen. This is worse than I thought.
Don't nothing rile her up.
We gotta try harder. Ellie Mae, what you figuring on cooking?
Grits.
Grits? Why, your Granny just cooked a mess of grits last night.
I know, Paul, but them was the worst mess of grits anybody ever cooked.
Well, heck, I ate 4 great big heaping books.
Ellie Mae Clampett, what a spiteful, riling thing to say about your Granny's cooking.
Child is right, kid. I can't do nothing no more. I ain't worth the powder to blow me up with.
Granny, I didn't mean it. Paul made me say it. Them was the best grits ever.
They sure was, Granny. Like I was gonna tell you. I ate 4 great big bowls. But Uncle Jed, he wouldn't let me tell you. And he made me throw that chicken on you, too.
I don't blame Jed for wanting to get rid of me. I'm just a useless old woman. I ain't good for nothing or nobody. My time has come.
Now, Granny, hold on there.
No, Jed. Just do me one favor. Send me back home. I don't want to die in this foreign country.
Now, hush that kind of talk.
Paul, you ain't gonna let Granny...
Don't try to shield me from him, young'uns. Just make it quick and merciful, Jed. Poleaxe me.
Well, I sure made a mess of that. Come on, maybe we can think of something if we go outside and put our 2 chicken brains together.
Oh, come on, Uncle Jed.
You wait here, I'll go and see Mr. Drysdale.
I asked Miss Jane to come to supper, too.
Mr. Drysdale, look who's here.
I don't want to be no bother.
Well, it's always a pleasure to see you, Mr. Clampett. Sit down, sit down.
Thank you.
Well, now, what can I do for you?
Well, I got a little problem.
Well, your problems are my problems. What's troubling my favorite depositor?
Well, who?
You, Mr. Clampett, you.
Oh, well, you see, it's Granny. That poor little old woman is feeling lower than a fat frog in a dry well.
Well, now, we must do something to cheer her up.
Indeed, we must.
You see, back home, we just have a bunch of neighbors in and have us a do. Ain't nothing pleasures Granny more than doing for folks.
Doing?
Yeah, you know, womping up a big feed, tapping a keg of her cider, seeing everybody has plenty to eat and drink and has a good time.
Can't Granny do that here?
Well, you folks is about the only ones we know.
We'll be happy to come. Just say when.
I reckon the sooner the better.
How about tonight?
I'll be right neighborly. Miss Drysdale in town?
Yes, she is, and she'll be delighted to come. Delighted.
Chief, Mrs. Drysdale, this is indeed a red-letter day. Guess who has just landed on the roof?
Well, it's a little early for Santa Claus.
No, indeed. It's our distinguished chairman of the board, Mr. Martin Van Ranserhoff.
What? Well, I thought he was on the world cruise.
No, he's anchored his yacht off Balboa and helicoptered in to see you.
Mr. Van Ranserhoff.
Marty Milburn, call me Marty.
You know Mrs. Drysdale.
Oh, yes, of course. Congratulations.
Congratulations for what?
Well, I think you should be the first to know I'm elevating your husband to the board of directors.
Board of directors?
Nice.
Yes, well, he deserves it. Any man that can land the Clampett account is my kind of banker. And I want the two of you to celebrate with me having dinner on my yacht.
Well, thank you. We'd be delighted.
I have a new French chef that's a genius. Every meal is an adventure.
Sounds marvelous.
But, darling, have you forgotten that we're dining with the Clampetts this evening?
Oh, well, don't worry about that. I'll call it off.
Oh, no, we won't. There's one man I want to meet, J.D. Clampett. Business genius. Financial wizard, shrewd, calculating, incisive.
Mr. Clampett?
Who told you Mr. Clampett was that kind of a man?
You did.
I did?
Yes, right after you landed the account.
Oh, then, yes.
Well, he's still the same kind of man, isn't he?
Of course, certainly. He's
Crude.
What was that?
shrewd. Thank you, Margaret. That's just the word I was looking for. Come on, dear. I'm sure you want to rush out and buy yourself a new wardrobe to celebrate your husband's promotion. I'm doubling your allowance.
Children, now you see what trouble mingling with the lower classes can bring. What do you intend to do?
Just what any decent, sensible man would do who has lied his way into trouble. I'm going to lie my way out. Oh, Mr. Van Ranserhoff.
Marty.
Oh, yes, Marty. Well, the Clampetts won't be able to have dinner with us on your yacht.
Well, why not?
Well, it was foolish of me to forget this, but they're rather susceptible to seasickness, sort of a family characteristic.
Well, that's ridiculous. They won't get seasick on my yacht. Compared to mine, the Vanderbilts have a rowboat. The whole dining saloon is as solid as this building.
Just being near the ocean upsets them.
Yeah, what a shame. I was going to fly the entire Lido Dupree show down from Las Vegas. Entire company, a little entertainment during dinner. What's a meal without some atmosphere, huh?
Just one of those things.
Ellie, you just stop playing with that chicken. You got lots to do.
What, Paul?
Oh, cooking for company, that's what. We're having a big doing.
Well, who's all coming?
Well, Miss Hathaway, Mr. Drysdale, Miss Drysdale, I don't know who all.
Well, what'll I cook?
Well, the fanciest spread ever. Jethro's out right now getting some fresh victuals. I reckon you can start heating the water for the owl soup, and I'll go down the cellar and fetch up some salted possum.
Hold on, everybody. We's having a do, I'm gonna do the doing. Now, may get this chicken out of here. Nothing rouse me like chickens in my kitchen. And the rest of you scat, too. Ellie Mae, you set the table in the fancy eating room. Jed, you go cut me some fresh greens. Oh, we're gonna have a doing for the folks next door. I'll bake 'em up a possum and plenty victuals more. We'll have a keg of cider and a little Mountain Dew, and we'll all have ourselves up. Hullabaloo.
Look, there's a place out here called the Coliseum, isn't there?
Yes, it's a stadium.
Oh, good. We'll hire it for the night. Tell you what, we'll have a Roman bacchanal, see? All the guests will wear togas. They'll have laurel wreaths in their hair.
Marty.
Yes?
I don't think you can get the Coliseum on such short
Well, I'll
notice.
tell you what, we'll get Grauman's Chinese. That's a theater. Rent the theater, you understand? Have all the guests dressed in kimonos, and we'll have dinner out in the forecourt. Oh, and by the way, Jane, get me some fresh cement. I'll bet you Jed Clampett never put his footprints in wet cement while eating fried shrimp.
Well, tell you the truth.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. That's the trouble with fellas like Clampett and me. We've been everywhere. We've done everything. There just are no new thrills.
Yes, that's probably why the Clampetts are such a secluded family. They never go out.
Hey, by the way, you're going there for dinner tonight, aren't you?
Well, yes, but...
Jane, call them and ask if I could impose on their hospitality. I just got to meet the Clampetts.
No, don't call.
Well, why not?
Well, they don't like to talk on the telephone. Now, I'll go up there in person and speak to them on your behalf.
Oh, good boy, good boy. Look, just in case, I better get a date for tonight. Get me Liz Taylor on the telephone.
I believe she's in Europe.
Judge of Gabor.
Married.
Walter Bridget married. Susan Hayward married. Jane Mansfield married.
Jane Hathaway. Single.
Who is she?
Yours truly.
Yeah, Shirley MacLaine married.
Mr. Van Ranserhoff, I think I should tell you that I already have an invitation to the Clampetts for dinner tonight. We are very good friends. Very close.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, would you mind turning around? Debbie Reynolds is married.
Mr. Van Ranserhoff, I think you should also know that the Clampetts do not, as they say, cotton to strangers.
Miss Hathaway, let me say that, you have a date for this evening.
Jolly good. But, a word of caution. The fact that I have appeared eager might lead you to believe that I am a girl with whom you could take liberties. Nothing could be further from the truth. I permit no familiarity on the first date.
Bless you, my girl.
I can't tell you how sorry I am, Mr. Clampett, but you see, Mr. Van Ranserhoff is my boss.
Well, bring him along. Granny's got plenty of possum and grits and owl soup.
Well, I'd love to bring him, but he has dinner planned on his yacht, and I have to do what he wants. I'm terribly sorry.
Well, so am I. Poor Granny is going to be like a mule kick to her.
Well, tell her we'll come tomorrow night or tomorrow morning for breakfast if she likes, but tonight I have to be with Mr. Van Ranserhoff.
Well, I understand.
Thank you, Mr. Clampett. Thank you very much.
Better not bring these in to Granny just yet. When she hears the news, she's liable to commence flinging them.
Give him a line, Jed. Just heard the news.
Now, simmer down, Granny. You can't catch Mr. Drysdale. He's done gone.
What do I want to catch him for? Coming back here tonight with Miss Jane and Mr. Rancyhoff.
Is Mr. Rancyhoff coming here?
Sure he is. Miss Jane just called to see if he got the invite. I said, shucks, he don't need no invite. Just bring him along.
Hey, doggy. If Mr. Rancyhoff is coming, then they's all coming, because he's the boss.
Oh, we're going to have a doing for the folks next door. Jane and Mr. Rancyhoff, and that makes 4. Take a cider and a little Mountain Dew, and we'll all have ourselves a hullabaloo.
What do you mean Ranserhoff's going to the Clampetts? I'll be exposed. I'll be ruined.
Chief, veritas vincit omnia.
If that's the name of a poison, get me some.
See, the truth conquers all. Tell Mr. Van Ranserhoff the truth. Admit that you deceived him.
Do you know what happened to the last man who admitted that to Ranserhoff? He is now working at the bank at Moose Jaw, Alaska. He goes to work in a dog sled.
I have an idea. I am Mr. Van Ranserhoff's date tonight. I'll tell him the truth. I'll pick a romantic moment and seal it with a kiss.
Are you kidding? He has a bank north of Moose Jaw.
Say, what a place, huh?
A veritable palace.
I hope this isn't one of those dull, stuffy, formal parties, you know? Last week I went to one in Buckingham Palace with the liveried servants and the protocol. Not a laugh all evening.
Well, I doubt very much it will be formal. On the contrary,
Oh, don't tell me. I love surprises.
packing for Moose Jaw, Alaska. Ransohoff just arrived at the Clampetts.
Surely you're exaggerating the situation.
Margaret, one look at those hillbillies and I'm an Eskimo.
Lady Clampett, may I present Mr. Martin von Ransohoff?
How do you do?
Hey, they just call me Jed, and this here's Granny.
Pleasure to know.
How do you do? Ah, this is fabulous.
No, this is Ellie. My daughter, Ellie Mae.
Howdy there. Say, I got a rooster that plays dead. You want to see him?
All right, Mae, let's wait till later to show off your critters. This fine young fella here is my nephew, Jethro.
Howdy, Mr. Ransohoff.
He's my cousin Pearl's boy. We're right proud of Jethro. He's going to graduate from the 5th grade this year.
Congratulations, young man.
Well, thank you.
Well, let's all go sit in the parlor while Granny pulls a bung on a keg of cider.
Jane, this is marvelous, simply marvelous, and what a surprise. Who'd think that a stuffy millionaire like Clampett would come up with a hillbilly party? The man is a genius, and those accents, they must have been practicing for weeks.
Longer than that.
Yes, when do they start the hoedown or the square dance or whatever they're gonna do?
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Ransohoff.
Marty.
Well, come on, Marty. Once Granny pulls the bung on that cider, it evaporates awful fast.
Look, we'd like to get in the spirit of the party. Have you got any more clothes like the one that you're wearing?
Sure. Ellie Mae, Jethro. Take these folks upstairs and get them some party clothes.
Out the way. Hey.
Here I am.
You look like something out of Tobacco Road.
Well, you're not exactly Adolphe Menjou yourself.
You know, I can't get over an important millionaire like Clampett going to all this trouble to surprise me with a hillbilly party.
He's a wonderful man.
He's the greatest. He's a millionaire's millionaire. I'll always be grateful to Drysdale for... By the way, why aren't the Drysdales here?
Well, that's rather a long story, Mr. Van Ransohoff.
Call me Marty the way Clampett does. That kills me.
Well, Marty. Mr. Drysdale thinks you're going to transfer him to your bank in Moose Jaw, Alaska.
Moose Jaw, Alaska?
Milburn, what are you doing?
I'm trying to figure out if I can convert these into snowshoes.
I've had enough of this ridiculous nonsense. Are we going to dinner or not?
Now, that depends.
Mr. Van Ransohoff spoke so highly of his French chef. I'm simply dying for a Chateaubriand.
How would you feel about a nice big dish of flaming blubber? I hear square dance music.
What does that mean?
It probably means that Ransohoff has left. He's on his way over here, and we're on our way to Moose Jaw.
Says we can't wait no longer for the Drysdales. Her owl soup and chicken fried hawk is getting cold. This way to the fancy eating room.
Owl soup and chicken fried hawk. What a sense of humor. Drysdale's missing the party of the year. A do-see-do. Dinner in the billiard room. This is priceless.
Now, before we all sit down, there's a couple things I better explain to you, Marty. Now, these sticks with the notches in them is the pot passers. And these pointy ones here is the meat stabbers. Is just dandy for stabbing stuffed crow.
Wish Elsa Maxwell and Pearl Mesta could be here.
Partial to stuffed crow, is they?
Well, come on, sit down, everybody. First we'll have Grace, and after that, Ellie Mae will pass out the deviled buzzard eggs. He is just fine with baked possum.
I tell you, fabulous. Is that fabulous? I tell you, I've been to parties all over the world, but this is the cleverest, the most original, and what food? Imagine calling roast pheasant au jus stuffed crow with gopher gravy. I noticed that you didn't eat much.
Oh, the excitement of the evening.
Yes, I must say, I don't blame you. I can hardly wait to get back from that around-the-world cruise, see what kind of party they're going to plan for me next.
Oh, Marty! Granny says you seem so fond of her deviled buzzard eggs, she wanted you to have these to take home with you.
Well, thank her for me.
You bet I will. Good night.
Good night. Is that beautiful? Still in character.
What's a bookie?
A little rat called Sam the Collector. Oh, Jim could only stay away from the horses.
Your husband likes horses, does he?
Loves them, especially losers.
Jed says a man who likes animals can't be all bad.
Here comes Uncle Jed, Granny.
Well, let's be on the way. Bye, ma'am. Glad there was no harm done.
So am I. What happened to you? Fall down in there?
Shut up and act hurt. That old geezer's worth $35 million.
What?
Fate. We'll sue him for a bundle.
Case of Johnson versus Clampetts. Are the plaintiffs ready?
We are, Your Honor.
Are the defendants ready? Mr. Clampett.
Yes, sir?
Please rise when addressing the court.
Yes, sir, your courtship.
Your Honor.
Oh, just call me Jed.
Mr. Clampett, let me warn you that any attempt at humor will be dealt with severely. You're being sued for $100,000. Do you consider that funny?
No, sir.
Very well. Are you represented by counsel?
Am I what? By who?
You have an attorney. A lawyer.
Oh, no, sir.
I see. You're appearing in pro per. You any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Not hearing no objection, I'll permit your defense.
Well, thank you, sir.
For the plaintiffs will make his opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Although my clients, the Johnsons, are really in no condition to appear today, I have persuaded them to come to court so that Your Honor can see the carnage wreaked by this criminally careless family of hoodlums.
Oh, excuse me, young feller, but our name ain't Hoodlum, it's Clampett. That's all except Granny, she's a Moses, and Jethro, he's a Bodine. He's my cousin Pearl's boy. Pearl's back home right now with Jethro and his sister trying to get her married. She's 18 and still single.
That is enough.
That's the way my cousin Pearl feels. A girl passes 18 and her chances of getting a husband.
Mr. Clampett, will you please be quiet? Now, I'm going to excuse this outburst because apparently you're unfamiliar with court procedure. However, one more infraction and I will hold you in contempt. You be seated. Proceed, counsel.
As I was saying, Your Honor, I have prevailed upon my clients to appear today, although at the cost of great personal suffering to themselves. Bailiff, if you please.
Is them the people that run into us?
It sure is. What you reckon happened to them?
Something terrible by the looks of them.
Let's go see can we comfort them.
Your Honor, protect my clients from these ruffians.
You got a terrible memory for names. We's Clampetts, except for Granny and Jekyll.
Mr. Clampett, I declare you in contempt of this court. And I'm going to give you a fine of $100.
Well, thank you, but I didn't do nothing to earn no $100.
The fine of $100 is suspended. Now, please, take your seats. The attorney for the plaintiffs will proceed.
Your Honor, the maimed and broken bodies of my clients speak more eloquently than any words of mine in condemning the criminal actions of this lawless family.
What'd he call us that time?
Lawless? I know a family named Lawless. Awful nice folks. Raised pigs.
You will prove, Your Honor, that on the day and date set forth in the complaint, said defendants did willfully and maliciously crash into the plaintiff's car, inflicting upon the bodies of the plaintiffs numerous and grievous injuries, for which we ask the court to award damages in the amount of $100,000 to said plaintiffs.
He can't even remember the Johnsons. He keeps calling them the plaintiffs.
Well, two ways about it. When it comes to recollecting names, that young feller's pitiful.
I want you to tell the court in your own words exactly what happened.
Well, Mrs. Johnson and I had just driven up to the bank where I hoped to borrow some money for my favorite charity, the Horse Lovers of America. And although we've been married for 20 years, Mrs. Johnson and I are still very affectionate.
Proceed with your testimony, Mr. Johnson.
Well, being affectionate as we are, we sat in the car for a few moments to speak of our love.
I love you, Jim Johnson.
I love you, Mabel.
What other man would borrow the money to help those poor old horses on their way to the glue factory?
I do what my heart tells me. Mabel!
What is it, Angel?
There's an old truck careening down the street out of control.
Oh, Jim! Is any space for us?
Well, have no fear. I'll protect you, darling. And that's the last I remember, Your Honor. Those monsters crashing into us in an alcoholic stupor.
Fine, please.
Court is recessed for 10 minutes.
Who you reckon smacked into them people like that?
I don't know, but they was driving something called a stupor.
What do we drive, Jethro?
I ain't sure, but I think it's called a Stutz.
Glad we wasn't there. We could have helped them.
Excuse me, mister. How do you get to the playground?
Playground?
Oh, yes, sir. He just called recess.
Your Honor, please, sir, Mr. Judge.
Yes, Mr. Clampett? Do you wish to question Mrs. Johnson?
Oh, no, sir. That poor woman's been through trouble enough. I just want to say that me and my family here is right good at tracking and trailing and hunting. And we'd be right pleasured if you'd let us go out and hunt down them rascals that was so mean to the Johnsons.
Mr. Clampett, do you expect the court to take those remarks seriously?
Well, I reckon I did brag a little too strong on us, but if we can't catch him, we got a hound dog named of Old Duke. He can follow our trail a month old.
That's a fact, he can. Why, you just give old Duke the scent, he can't get after it.
Is it possible that you people don't realize that you are the accused?
What do you mean?
You are the folks who caused these injuries to the Johnsons.
Us?
Who says so?
They do.
That's a dad-blame lie.
We wasn't even there.
Bailiff, restrain these people.
What do you mean? We're straight
You want to
If you ask me, this is a heck of a place to spend recess.
That fella said he put us in here to cool off. It's hotter in here than it is in there.
Well, there's one good thing. He's going to give each one of us $100.
Fine. That's what I say. fine and dandy. Jed, you look like you're counting hairs on a hog's back. What you studying on?
I'm studying on this whole situation, Granny. Why would the Johnsons haul off and say we'd done something that we didn't?
Well, maybe they's fibbing to get the money.
Maybe they's text.
I agree with Ellie. Way I got it figured, that accident they had knocked their memories loose.
I coulda. The way they's bandaged up, they must have took some awful hard knocks.
Granny, supposing you make some poultices for the Johnsons, then that'll draw the hurt out of their heads and they'll be able to remember what smashed into them.
I'll do it, kid. And I'll whomp up a great big dose of retchweed tonic. There ain't nothing like retchweed to get you thinking straight.
All right, folks. Judge adjourned court till after lunch. And then he wants you all back in that courtroom on your very best behavior. He said he'd suspend your $100 fines.
There he goes, spending our money again.
I'm going to ask the court for a judgment by default. Those hillbillies aren't coming back. They've probably left town.
Hope we didn't keep you folks waiting. We hurried the best we could. Didn't even stop to eat.
For a piece over at our place.
Granny had a lot of fixing to do.
And you're gonna feel a heap different when I get done with you.
How dare you threaten my clients?
Quieten down, little man. Ain't nobody threatening nobody.
They're back, Your Honor. All rise.
You can uncover the grits, but keep the lid on the baked pasta.
Well, how about the chitlins?
They're just as good cold.
They sure is, Granny. Smells good, don't it, Judge? We'd be right pleasure to have you join us. Everybody, we got plenty.
Thank you. That is very nice of you.
Oh, not at all.
You realize how long you've kept this court waiting?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Judge, but we done the best we could. Granny was working like a whirlwind, baking possum, cooking grits, making tonic, and fixing poultices.
I am not interested in what Granny has been doing.
I wouldn't rile her up if I was you, Judge. Not on an empty stomach. Granny gets right ornery when she ain't eat all day.
I am also not interested in her dietary idiosyncrasies. Bailiff, remove that food from this courtroom.
Hold on. We's hungry.
That's your own fault for being late.
I wouldn't say too much about being late if I was you. This is the second time today you've come in here in your nightgown.
Granny, I understand that you make very good moonshine whiskey.
I call it my rheumatism medicine.
I see. But it is quite potent, quite strong.
Well, you don't want to stand too close to a fire when you uncork it.
Yes, well, now then, Granny, do you sometimes carry a jug of this rheumatism medicine around with you? Take it on trips, say?
Only when I get my twinges.
Well, were you having twinges the day you and your family crashed into the Johnsons?
No, and we didn't.
That's all, thank you. Mr. Clampett, how many guns do you have in your home?
Well, Granny's shotgun, Jethro's lever action, my pistol, my squirrel rifle.
You needn't go on, Mr. Clampett. That's quite an arsenal you have.
Thank you.
You're used to carrying a gun, aren't you?
I've been toting a squirrel rifle since I was knee-high to a jackrabbit.
And I understand you're quite a good shot.
Back where I come from, if you didn't shoot good, you didn't eat.
I see you shot only for food.
Yes, sir.
And you were very poor.
Yes, sir.
And then oil was discovered on your land, and you became very, very wealthy and moved to Beverly Hills.
Yes, sir.
But isn't it a fact, Mr. Clampett, that in spite of all your millions, you are still frequently seen carrying a gun?
Yes, sir. You see,
Now, just answer the question, yes or no. Do you, to this day, frequently carry a gun?
Yes, sir.
Were you carrying a gun the day you and your family crashed into the Johnsons?
No, sir, and we didn't.
That's all. Thank you. Step down.
No, sir.
What do you mean, no, sir?
That ain't all, and I ain't stepping down. Not until I've said a few things.
Your Honor, I object.
Now, Counselor, I have been very lenient with your conduct of this case, just as I've been very lenient with the conduct of the defendants. However, since Mr. Clampett here is the defendant and will bear the financial burden if judgment is against him, the court wishes to hear anything that is relevant and pertinent to this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Clampett, let us hear what you have to say.
Well, thank you. Well, to begin with, there ain't nobody told the real story about what happened the day the Johnsons backed into us.
I object, Your Honor. There has not been one shred of evidence or testimony supporting the allegation that my clients backed into the defendants.
That is very true, Counselor. Perhaps now we might have it. In the meantime, you be seated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you may proceed, Mr. Clampett, realizing, of course, that you're still under oath to tell the truth.
Well, Your Honor, I learned how to tell the truth so long ago, I reckon it's become a habit. And what with making a promise on the good book, I'm going to be extra careful.
Proceed.
Well, me and my family drove down to the bank. And then we drove on home, and that's the last we seen of the Johnsons till somebody come to the house and told us to come down here to the courtroom.
You may cross-examine.
Well, that's quite a story you told, Mr. Clampett. Very simple and very sweet.
Just the truth, like I promised.
You're innocent of all these charges against you, aren't you? You've nothing to hide.
That's right.
Then why, Mr. Clampett, did you not answer the summons and complaint served upon you by the county marshal?
Summons and complaint?
That is right, complaint. This is a complaint, Mr. Clampett. In fact, it's a copy of the one delivered into your hands.
Is that a complaint?
It is. Why didn't you answer it?
Would you mind reading that first line there?
The people of the state of California send greetings to J.D. Clampett.
That just didn't seem like no complaint to us. And as for answering it, well, Jethro says there's pert near 18 million people in California. We just couldn't hardly see how we could get around to greeting them all back.
Any further questions?
Not right now, Your Honor.
Court will recess for 30 minutes, after which we'll hear final argument. All rise. Counsel for the plaintiffs ready for his final summation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, sir, Mr. Judge, could I say something that might save us all a lot of time?
You any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Proceed, Mr. Clampett.
Well, sir, if it's all right with you, I'd like to go ahead and give that $100,000 to the Johnsons.
Do you admit the claims made by the Johnsons?
Well, no, sir, it don't. But he deserves the money, and I can afford to give it to him more if he needs it.
Would you mind telling the court why you think he deserves it?
Well, Your Honor, I got a daughter here, Ellie Mae, and I reckon she means more to me than just about anything in the world. And during the recess, when I seen Mr. Johnson with his daughter and seen how much he loved her, just like I do Ellie Mae, well, it kind of tore at my heart.
What daughter?
Shut up. There he was in his wheelchair in that little room across the hall, and in walked this beautiful girl with the long red hair, and I knowed right away she was his daughter because she walked up to him and she says, "How's it going, Daddy?" Judge, Your Honor, with no nurse to help him, that brave man got to his feet and stood there straight and tall so she wouldn't see he was suffering. And he hugged her and he kissed her, and right then is where I found out she was a heap like my daughter, fond of critters. Because he said, "Marcia, darling, when I get this 100,000, I'm going to take you to Mexico and we're going to watch the ponies run."
ain't enough for that threat.
Your Honor, these developments surprised me as they did you. I asked to be relieved from the case at once.
Request granted. This court finds for the defendant. Bailiff, bring those plaintiffs back into this court immediately. They're to be held for perjury.